For the club and kicked, we don't actually keep record of goals, but we think it's somewhere around 450. And we were talking about this just before. We think that's probably the highest tally in the club's history. And having played with the guy for 15 plus years, I can confidently say he's the best goal kicker I ever saw at the club over a very long period of time. One of the buzzwords they sort of use at the moment about AFL players is forward craft, and this guy had the best forward craft I think I've seen. He was very quick, he could take an overhead mark, but also had a sort of freakish ability to kick goals from all angles and very regularly kick bags of 6 and 7. But this is probably during an era where we didn't have a whole lot of success. He made the VAFA representative squad in 2009 and was named in the VAFA Team of the Year on 3 occasions. After finishing at the club, he became an assistant coach at Pegs, where he travelling out to Essendon. So maybe we'll get a bit of insight into what Pegs are dishing up this week. In 2015-16, he was a part-time recruiting officer at Port Adelaide. He's a past captain coach at the Mazenod Cricket Club. Probably maybe a more accomplished footballer than cricketer, just, or the other way around, do you think?
Probably not great at either.
That's what it says here too, actually. Yeah. He actually attended St Anthony's Primary School. He had a teacher by the name of Paul Deegan. That was a very, very long ago. He's here tonight with his wife Studi and his 4-year-old daughter. Big welcome to Chamath's family as well. Also a member of Mazenod's Sri Lankan Team of the Century, which I just made that up to be honest, but quite honestly, if we were picking a Team of the Century tonight, this guy would certainly be full forward or forward pocket. So we now move on to Dale Grant. Dale is in the Blokes with One Arm Team of the Century. Again, the only guy. We might have to merge the two teams, to be honest. He also attended Mazenod and was Brondon House captain, and that's it, the list of achievements. Bell played at Mulgrave in under 18s. He actually won a flag there, so had a good incentive to stay at that club, but decided to join his mates at Mazenod back in 97. I think we played our first season of under 19s together. We won a flag in 2000. 2001 we were playing A-grade football, and this guy was playing senior football in A section, which is probably one of, if not the best, of the metropolitan competitions. That says a lot about how good a footballer he was. Could have gone on, but he decided to quit football at the end of 2001 to focus on his swimming, because obviously he's a very good swimmer. He was a silver medalist at the 2002 World Championships. He then went on to represent Australia in the 2004 Paralympic Games. He decided after 2004 that he wanted to come back and play footy, and I had a conversation with him, I remember, at the forward pocket while watching the Nodders one year, and I'll talk about that very shortly. But he really missed playing here. I know that. Decided to come back. Went on to play 213 games with the club. Won a reserves best and fairest in 2009. Came back and played a thirds premiership, a bit of a dream team when a few old guys came back and played the flag there. But then, 2012, so he's finished playing senior football. He decides to focus on triathlon. He's already a good swimmer, very good cyclist. Goes on to win the National Para-Triathlon Championship for Australia in 2014. Finished top 10 in the World Championships in Auckland. He's just finished his second Ironman, which he completed in Port Macquarie about 2 weeks ago. And is now, correct me if I'm wrong, ranked number 1 in the world as a para-triathlon Ironman at the moment. So one of the best pure athletes I've ever seen, actually. He is married. I think his triathlon days are probably over, because Bree, his wife, is due with their second child in about 4 weeks, so good luck with that. Also runs his own business on the side. Doesn't do a lot of work though, so I'm not sure how successful that business is. Seems to be doing a lot of work on Strava, but big round of applause for Dale Grant. Right, Chum, we might start with you. Tell us a little bit about where you played your junior football and how you decided to come down to
outside of telling him I was playing basketball at school, I was actually playing just school footy during term 2 and 3. And then when I had the courage to tell him when I was 18 that I was going to play under 19s, that was probably my first real time at Mazenod. So yeah.
Probably why you didn't get a hard ball for a 15
Yeah, probably.
just to keep your dad happy. You're a
Yeah.
family man, Chamath. Well done. Graham, tell us about your journey, because you were at Mulgrave with a very successful team who won a flag in the under-18s. They had a really good group of players, but you decided to come across to Mazenod in '97.
That was. I remember playing at Mulgrave and chasing Dom around pre-season training. He was a real whippet, so I had to get on with him. I think it was just the ties with the college really that made me want to come down and play at Mazenod. Just all my mates were here, including myself and a few other guys. So it was really just to be around mates, which this club's obviously very perfect for that. So that was it. Yeah.
Tell us about stepping in from under-19s to senior football. I said you were playing Premier Division, but you were probably holding that team up. That's what you were telling me earlier in '99. So tell us about your senior debut.
Thinking back of the 2 years in under-19s Premier side, and Chris Smith was actually assistant coach, I think, those 2 years. So they were probably a couple of really good lessons in there. You got to learn how to play footy real quickly through some heavy losses, to be honest. So transitioning, we were going through a really successful period through the club. Played finals '99, and you kind of knew that the senior squad was onto something really good in 2000. And I didn't play in the grand final, the winning grand final side in 2000, but got to train, and it was just a great buzz. And sometimes I think, looking back, I just thought we'd have success on the back of that, and then it only takes a few guys to leave, and then it kind of, you had to start again. But then we went through a few years where we had to stick fat and rebuild. But in terms of senior debut, it was kind of starstruck, because you were playing with guys who played 200 games and they were well established in the amateur league as well. So got to learn quickly.
Beryl, tell us about your first year under-19s here, because Kevin King was actually our coach. Tell us a little bit about Kingy as a sort of football strategist, and how he moulded you into the athlete that you are today.
It was different coming across from the EFL. I remember the grounds out there were really muddy, and then coming across and playing under Kingy in the Amos was completely different. It was much more of a running sort of style game, and Kingy had a few boys like Butchie and all these sorts of guys. There was Daniel Rigg and some guys that we brought across from Mulgrave as well that year. But Kingy was a character. He'd let you know if you're doing the wrong thing, and you'd always find out about it. But we had a pretty good team that year. I think we ended up, we were sort of just outside the 4 that year in Division 1, Amma. So, he was a good coach, Kingy. Sort of definitely one of the better coaches I had.
And so Kingy was our coach. Butcher, who you would have seen around here, was actually our captain. Now, Butcher was actually a really, really good player. Probably weighed about a quarter of what he does now. But do you remember once we were running a warm-up lap, and we were all mucking around a little bit. Butcher was pretty straight down the line, so he shouted, and he made us all do 20 push-ups. But do you remember you didn't do the push-ups? What did he say?
No idea.
I remember it clearly, because he shouted, you said, "Why aren't you doing push-ups?" He said, "I've only got one arm." We'd been playing with him for probably 12 weeks by then, but it wasn't the brightest spark though. Very good footballer, lovely guy too, lovely guy. So, Chummy, you talk about, we didn't have a lot of success during that era. You were one of the standout players. I'm going to skip over one particular game. I'm going to finish on that game in 2007. But 2012, we'd been rising. 2011, we played finals. 2012, we're playing in a preliminary final against Fitzroy. We're running pretty hot. Things are going pretty well, but it didn't end up as a particularly good day. Tell us about that day.
I think we got on a really good run. We started slow. We were kind of chasing the pack pretty much the whole year, and then got on a really good run, probably won the last 7 or 8, and we actually had to beat the top side round 18 last game down on the bottom oval to keep our spot, Parkdale, and I think we ended up winning by about 6 goals. Played in an elimination final, won by a point against Marsland. So as you said, we had this great momentum coming in to the prelim, and 5 minutes into the first quarter, Stewie Inglis got concussed. Off to Sandringham Hospital, so we're playing at Sandy VFL. 10 minutes later, I went up for a mark, Nick Thomas. I think he was coughing up blood or cracked his rib. off to the hospital. And then the next centre bounce, I tried to take a really unrealistic mark, landed on my shoulder popped out, off to the hospital. So probably about 10 minutes into the second quarter, I think we're about 2 goals down, 3 guys at Sandringham Hospital. And I still remember, I think it was my brother-in-law was driving me, and I was kind of walking in and saw Stewie was waiting, and they said, "Oh, look, we can cuss so you can wait." And then I think Nick Thomas had gone in, so I've got to make it look worse, and I said, "I can't breathe." I think I cracked a rib. Anyway, I went into the emergency, got the green stick, so I was good. And then I was just laying there, and then Robbie Mann walked in. So we had 4 guys in Sandy Hospital before half time.
Yeah, I was injured as well. You can explain.
Yeah. Let me finish. So yeah, Robbie, I think did you hit your shoulder as well?
Shoulders up.
Yeah, so he was kind of having his with his jumper as well. So and that was kind of, I thought, well, I was naive. I thought we must be still a chance. We weren't. And then I finally got into the nurse, and then the nurse said, "How are you guys going?" I said, "I don't know." And she said, "I've got bad news for you. I've got to cut your jumper because I couldn't slide it out." And I said, "You're not effing cutting my jumper. I've had this jumper for 12 years." She said, "I've got to cut your jumper." And she said, "By the way, I'm Tim Smith's wife." So it was actually Stephen's wife who was the nurse, and I apologised, I swore at her, but yeah, it was kind of a really, weird day, but that's footy.
Parry, we might come to you, like 2001, so you're playing A-grade senior football, and you sort of careers ahead of you, but you decide to make the jump into swimming, and obviously you pursued that all the way to the Paralympics. Tell us a little bit about that decision to move out of football and into swimming.
Yeah, no, it was a tough decision because I was enjoying footy and the club was going really well. And I've been to the Sydney Olympics with my dad and my wife Brett. Wasn't my wife at the time, but we went and watched the games up in Sydney, and I don't know, something in me just sort of said, and I saw the Paralympic games a month later, and I thought, oh geez, I reckon I can do that, not knowing what it was going to be like, or how much it was going to take, or what the standard was like in swimming at Paralympic swimming level and that type of thing. And so a friend of mine knew this lady, Kathy Acox, who was a coach out at Xavier at the college out there, and introduced myself to her, and I said, "This is what I want to do," and she sort of laughed a little bit, said, "All right, we'll jump in the pool." And I really, the only swimming I'd really done up to that point was at the surf club down at Lorna as a nipper growing up. But so she took me under her wing, and I just put my head down and really just gave it everything I had, and eventually made it to the national champs the following year, and realised I wasn't too far off what I need to do to sort of be selected on the Paralympic swim squad, or the shadow squad that they had there. And within 18 months I've been on the team, or the Australian team, and I did a couple of trips over to Canada and Argentina the following year at the World Champs, and from there, my enthusiasm for it just grew, and I just thought, well, you only get one chance at this, so I took a year off and just focused on that solely. But I did miss footy. I missed, really, the main thing is swimming's such an individual sport. It's bloody boring going up and down that black line, I've got to say, in comparison to getting out on the training track with all your mates every Thursday, and the fact that you get to compete on a weekly basis to do what you're training to do every week, as opposed to, it'd be 6 months of training before you actually go out there and actually race and really see where you're at. So I think footy was just so much more fun. But at the same time, it didn't offer the opportunities that swimming had. So as much as I enjoyed the swimming side of things, it wasn't really my passion. My passion was always footy. So that's why I guess at the end of 2004, after going to the Paralympic Games, I really want to just get back and play footy, because I just missed my mates and the camaraderie that we had, and being here at the club. So that was that, I guess.
I said, talk about that conversation I had. I think I was injured one day watching footy is a crappy wintry day. You know, you're travelling the world, everyone's patting you on the back, and you're effectively a full-time athlete. But and you told me you wanted to come back and play footy with your mates, at an amateur club, and I suppose that says a lot about what the club meant to you at the time, what the friendship is about, and why people play amateur football. We might just talk now a little bit about what you've done post your career. So, Chamath, firstly, your experience coaching at Pegs and also recruiting at Port Adelaide, maybe what that entails.
Yeah. 2014, fresh out of retirement, Mark Murray, who's club legend down here, I think he was voted player of the club from the amateurs. He got the senior gig at Pegs and wanted to help him out as an assistant coach. Look, footy clubs, their footy club was pretty much the same. Had a core group of guys, senior guys had been around for 10 years, and they really kind of drove the culture, and they were aching for success as well. So that was the first thing I really saw a resemblance between Mazenod and them, that they were, I'd played actually a lot of competitive footy against most of those guys over 5-7 years. So it was that was probably the first barrier as a coach, to try remove yourself from that and then try instill some, I suppose, disciplines and behaviours and kind of ways of playing footy to them. And to their credit, they were pretty good with that. They were pretty responsive, and I think what I found though, even with Mark, as established as he was as a coach and player, it takes a little bit of time to establish your own style, because I think a lot of those guys went through the school program, so they had a lot of training development up to that senior stage, getting to their old boys footy club. So I think it's not as easy just turning up and trying to instill this different style of footy. So that was probably the biggest experience, but in terms of commitment, their drive to win was very similar to what I kind of experienced at Mazenod. So that was probably from the coaching aspect. And at Port Adelaide, that was really good. It was part-time, so it was mainly Saturdays. You'd go out, you'd mainly watch TAC games, or the odd occasion, the odd BFL game, and you were kind of given strict instructions from the recruitment manager, who was Anthony Parkins, David Parkins' son, who's got a lot of history in the amateur footy. He didn't play AFL, but he's kind of really well known in the footy traps. He did a ton of work Monday to Friday. He'd hone in kind of the players that he wanted reports on. So it wasn't just kicking the ball through the goals or anything like that. It was the whole aspect, work rate off the ball, tackling pressure. How they kind of interacted with their teammates during the breaks. It was the whole aspect of transitioning from a semi-elite environment into this AFL environment. So it was amazing to see some of the kids who were 16, 17, how disciplined they were, and what kind of recovery they did straight after the game. A lot of them were like back-to-back games at Busy Park, and even the state carnival was a real eye-opener, because there were some real ready-made players who were straight, ready to play round one. So it was a good experience.
And Beryl, tell us a little bit about triathlon and Ironman. Obviously, you could swim. You're a very good cyclist as well. I never saw you run much in pre-season, but obviously you overcame that. And maybe tell us a little bit about the experience of the most recent triathlon in Port Macquarie.
I think I only actually finished footy 2 years ago. I played a couple of seasons in the over 35s, but I just enjoy competing and training and keeping fit. So Ironman sort of works really well for me in that regard. Gives you a lot of time to sort of think as well, because there's a lot of training involved. It's sort of 6 days a week. So really, it's about structure and discipline. Recently just finished the Port Macquarie Ironman. That was only 3 weeks ago. It's just a great environment. You're around people that are really healthy and driven, and I just enjoy that side of it. Goal focused sort of stuff. So you're obviously you're hitting targets and working towards something, and I just enjoy that kind of just having a goal in place. And the Ironman side of things, that once you get to this age, you obviously can't play footy anymore, so it just gives you something to do. What's to say about it really? I just enjoy doing it. it was a tough experience, and Nizza down the back there's doing the Cairns Ironman in 2 weeks' time, so we've been sort of sparring together, going back and forth for training, as you know. So no, it's just another avenue outside of life that, or outside of footy life that allows you to keep going until you're 40. So I'll just keep doing it. I think.
That's right. I think you give up footy, but you don't lose that competitive edge. I think if I found a lot of guys we used to play footy with. We won't talk about Chamath running a marathon in Gold Coast. It's not an Ironman, but given that Chamath didn't move more than 10 metres in the goal scorer in his career, that's like a normal person running to the moon, I reckon. So that's a big achievement for Chamath. Now I'm going to fire off a couple of quick questions to each of you. You've got 3 seconds to answer, so come in very close. Chamath, best player you ever played with at Mazenod?
Nick Kelly.
What do you think?
Big guys, big man.
Big man. Who was the weirdest player you ever played with and why?
Probably Chamath.
Say Stevie Bog.
True story. Best coach you ever had?
Kingo.
Yeah.
Well, he's in the room.
He's flashing 50s around, so he might buy you a beer. Who's the best coach you ever had?
Apologies to Smithy, but I'd say Mike McCarthy-Allen.
He was very good coach, very experienced. Finish with best experience at the club or favourite memory.
Favourite memory, I reckon the reserves grand final, 2009 Sandy, with the boys. Yeah, that was the best thing for me.
And Chama, I've already set yours up. 2007, we'd been relegated from B grade the previous year. We'd been in B or A grade for about nearly 15 years, so it was a bit of a shock to be relegated to C in 07. And we started the season, I think, something like 2-7. Is that about right, Smithy? And we're playing the top side, Old Campbell, who had 4 ex-AFL players here at our home ground. Half time, we're down by 7 goals. We're staring right in the eye of D grade. A little bit like this year. We're super competitive. We just weren't winning games. 7 goals down. What happens, John?
We had a young kid called Nick Bogar who really stepped up that day as well. Got us going in the third quarter, kicked a couple of important goals. And then I was lucky enough to...
Nick Bogar's not here. Okay, so what happened? We kicked about 6 in a row in the last quarter.
Yeah.
Down to about 10 seconds left. Then what happens?
I took a mark just before the siren. I like to say I was 45 out, but it was probably about 25 metres out. And it was the worst kick I ever kicked, but it went through. We won by 2 points, I think, and then we ended up winning the next 9 games and got into the finals. So yeah, it can change very quickly from 2-7 to whatever it was. So.
Yeah, absolutely it can. And maybe that's a little lesson. I watched you guys on Saturday. I thought you were pretty impressive. Obviously very close. It just takes one win like it did in 07. All of a sudden you get a run on your playing finals and you start to experience success. Big round of applause for these 2 legends of the club. They'll be sticking around in signing on.